Kia ora koutou, nau mai, haere mai, from a very, very windy capital city this afternoon. Ko Barry Morrison, toka ingoa, live to you from the boardroom here at National Office. And with me in the room today is Lee Williams behind the camera, and he will be able to relay any questions that you have, which if you can please put those via the chat function, that would be fantastic. If you are not online and you think, I've missed it, don't panic. The session is being recorded and will be available on our website once it's been tidied up in a few days. So welcome to this financial resilience webinar, the first of the year. So we are talking today about building strong, financially sustainable, modern clubs for the future. Slideshow, please.
Okay.
Slideshow, please, officer.
Share that screen.
Action.
Let's go.
3, 2, 1.
Here we want.
There you go.
And there. Okay.
We should be able to see that pretty slide. Financial resilience, building strong, financially sustainable, modern clubs for the future. Clubs under financial pressure. Of course we are. Every club across the land, or most clubs across the land, are facing these pressures. Rising costs, shrinking revenue streams, the cost of living crisis is hitting us hard, and membership decline. Increasing compliance expectations for those clubs that have got gaming machines. You know full well the implications that compliance has on our clubs, and growing demands for services and support. All of these are factors impacting your club's financial performance. What is today all about? Well, let's understand what your risk is. Financial resilience. It's not just having money in the bank for a rainy day, just like we've got here in Wellington today. It's the ability to keep providing services for your members and the community into the future. Club committees should consider these questions and answer them honestly. How concentrated are our revenue streams? Have we only got 2 or 3, 1 or 2 even, like food, beverage, and maybe gaming? Or do we have raffles involved in that? Do we have commercial income? That is quite important, because if we are very concentrated, i.e. a narrow revenue band, we're more at risk if one of those fails. How much, if any, of our income is certain? You could say that membership subs are certain, but if you've got declining membership, is it? And obviously, bar and food revenue can fluctuate according to seasonal demand and people coming in and out of the club and the area. Are we protected if one of our revenue sources drop away? So again, touching back on that concentration of revenue, if we have a bad month in our restaurant, are we making it up in other areas, or can we sustain a bit of a hit to one of our revenue streams? Do we know where our cash position is going to be in 6 to 12 months' time? Have we looked past today and looked to tomorrow to see where what our cash flow is going to be, what bills we've got coming in that need to be paid, what income we've got to come that cover those bills? So understand your risk and answer those questions honestly. Cash flow. You've heard me mention it quite a few times already, and we're only about 3 minutes in. Cash is still king in the world. Lenders will not necessarily borrow on assets. They will look at your cash flow first to determine if you can service any debt. Assets are important, but they are no longer a key or the key criteria. Committees need to learn from the past, but remain forward focused on what could happen and not what has happened. Okay? Too many committee members or committee meetings we hear talk about what happened at last Tuesday's club night. It's done, it's in the past. Move on, look forward to what hasn't happened yet. Simple cash flow forecast, what income you know is coming in, it's tied to the budget, but also historical evidence. You know that maybe in September or March or April, depending on when your financial year is, your membership subscriptions will be coming in. So you can build your cash flow forecast around that. That can give you the peaks and troughs. So you know, hopefully pre-Christmas, in those September, October, November months, you can expect some good cash flow from Christmas functions, etc. Consequently, on the other side of Christmas, January, February, March will traditionally be lower income months. So you can plan for those, being aware that you've got your invoices from December coming due in January. As a committee, do you understand your costs? Do you know what is fixed, what you cannot move, and what can be flexible, and what can be moved out, say, to the 60-day mark? Talk with your management teams and work with them to get a very honest and accurate cash flow picture that will help you improve your financial resilience. Diversification versus discipline. Everybody says, let's diversify, let's get into this, let's do that. That is all fine, but just don't do it for the sake of we've got multiple revenue streams. Simple questions on your screen. What are we trying to achieve by diversifying? Any diversification program that you follow should follow the core principles outlined on the screen. It's aligned with the club's purpose. It's approached with commercial discipline. Have the right levels of expertise available to support them. Can you go into commercial property? Do you know the market? Do you have experts, commercial property managers, the banks, your accountants? Use that expertise available. Have a clear criteria to measure success. You need to know if your diversification is working. And if it's not, you then need to have a strategy to facilitate an exit if necessary. Asset rich, cash poor. If I had $1 for every time that phrase has been mentioned since I started with Clubs New Zealand, I'll probably still be here presenting this webinar. But how often have we heard that phrase? It is very often. Committees and lending institutions have historically placed huge value on assets to indicate the financial health of a club. And as I said earlier on, it is no longer the key criteria when it comes to financial institutions and lending. Your ability to service any debt, i.e. your cash flow statement, and it's not just your current cash flow, they will look at your historical, probably your past 3 years worth of cash flow to see whether you can service any debt before they even consider progressing your loan application. Now, don't get me wrong, it's okay to still have a solid asset base, but are those assets really working for you? Is a disciplined diversification plan perhaps a better option for your club? Clubs in the past have built up assets with well-intentioned, and I'll call it ma and pa thinking. Let's buy a house or a rental or a couple of 3 rentals for income when we reach our retirement age. And that's all very fine for a ma and pa who will retire at some stage in their life. But clubs never retire. And so having assets just sitting there, earning, say, a modicum rental each week or each month, you have to question, is that the best use of your funding and your assets? Clubs don't retire, as I said. The rainy day will come, the roof needs replacing. And so maybe look at your assets and invest in the biggest asset you have, which is your club rooms. Through the mystery shops that we've done over the last 8 months, there's a common theme come through that the club rooms are nice, the people are great, but the lounge is tired, it's run down, needs a bit of TLC. We've neglected historically in clubs the biggest asset of them all. And that's the one that we really need to look after. Committees under pressure. You are all under pressure. Talked about the financial crisis at the start of the webinar. Periods of sustained financial pressure are really when good governance comes to the fore. And I'm saying when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Committees that are responding well to these current pressures, the economic pressures, and have done historically, usually do those tasks really consistently. They face reality early rather than waiting for their hand to be forced. The old head in the sand mentality and no, it's not happening, it's not happening, doesn't work. The problem is not going to go away just by ignoring it. Focus on the few critical decisions, not try and fix everything all at once. It's how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. Balance commitment to purpose with financial discipline. Have those honest and robust conversations around the committee table. Support management in a calm, constructive way. If the sky's falling down, no knee-jerk reactions. Don't go, let's shut everything down, let's cut costs, let's strip everything back, because you can only cut costs to a certain degree. You need to generate revenue, even in tough times. You need to provide services to your members. They expect it, that's why they signed up to your club. So no knee-jerk reactions, calm, considered, constructive decision-making, supporting your management teams, and maintain clear boundaries between governance and operations. If the world is turning upside down financially, it is probably no one's fault. Say somebody that may sit in an office in Washington that may strike a oil-rich country that may cause issues. So if the economic crisis is not caused by your club management, so don't think they're incompetent. They're not. Support them, but don't get in the way of them doing their jobs. Similarly with management, don't stop your committees from making constructive decisions and informed decisions. Collaboration in difficult conditions are conversations and conditions, really, because it's those conditions that probably lead clubs to have these difficult conversations. Be realistic about creating long-term financial stability for your club. You might be aspirational to have X number of properties, huge diversification, but that might not work for you. You might be better off continuing the way you're operating and existing as you currently do. Nothing wrong with that. Cut your cloth to suit your knitting, or something like that. The saying is around there. Be open-minded about collaboration with clubs down the road or clubs in your area. Amalgamation, merger is not a dirty word. Make the most of shared services where you can. Work with each other, collaborate. Favourite saying of mine since I've been in my role is clubs make clubs stronger. Yes, the club 400 metres down the road is competing for similar business to you. But if you combine and coordinate your activities, you can both win and take the heat out of the commercial aspect or commercial area of town. Amalgamation could be the best option for your clubs and your community, and may also be the only way to retain your individual histories. Forward-looking committees will ask these questions when assessing the options in front of them. They're hard questions to ask. Nobody wants to be on the committee that made the decision to amalgamate. But good governance will make those questions. The questions are, where are the overlaps? As I say, where can we share services? What can we do to have an equal portion of the same pie? Can we work together instead of competing with each other? It's especially prevalent in smaller communities where there are multiple clubs. And would scale strengthen long-term viability? Is it better to have 3 clubs in a small area fighting for $1, or for them to merge and amalgamate for one club to survive and thrive in the region? From a national office perspective, we'd probably suggest it's best that clubs survive and doing it rather than just disappearing. This is a mindset shift. And today is all about a bit of mindset shift, a bit of challenge. How can we do things differently? Our unique place in society in New Zealand as member-driven community facilities heightens the importance of positive and disciplined commercial thinking to ensure that clubs survive for future generations. Committees set the tone with forward-thinking, disciplined financial strategies. Where are we going to be in 6 months' time? How are we going to get there? Where do we want the club to be 5 years down the track? We talk about it in our governance fundamentals training, strategic and annual planning. This is where this comes to the fore. You understand your risk and you remain aligned with what's the core purpose of the club. Not for profit should never be confused with no need for profit. Clubs should always look to be financially viable and sustainable. Asking the operational questions of your management team: why have we got so much staff on? Why is our labour cost there? Why are we not meeting our GP margins? You've got to think of today and tomorrow, not yesterday. Protect your margins. I touched on it just briefly then, GP margins. The age-old belief clubs got to be cheaper than a commercial venue is a fallacy. Whilst clubs don't purely exist for profit, we still need to be financially viable. Yes, we need to make a profit, but it is not a personal profit. It is to invest in the club facilities. The cost pressures that clubs experience are the same as the pub around the corner. Supply prices are roughly the same, wages definitely the same, and in some cases higher. Operating and compliance costs are certainly the same. So why should our sell prices be so vastly different? Added to that is across the country, most club rooms in New Zealand are older buildings, some rather large, that require significant resources to maintain and keep operating. And I suspect there's a few committee people and management that are on this webinar going, yep, we've got it. Your systems such as your HVAC, your electrical AV are probably obsolete, which puts the club at huge risk should there be a major malfunction of any of those systems. And why has it got to that stage? It's because we've kept it cheap. Keeping it cheap doesn't fit modern business practices. Deferred maintenance and the ability to invest, upgrade and refurbish your club rooms, your biggest asset, have all been diminished for the supposed benefit to the member of cheaper bar prices. Protect your margins. And I get it. I've been a club manager, as have many of my colleagues, and I've been a committee member and the governance side. We have the perfect storm. Committees, you have to meet the demands of the club members who expect cheaper prices because I joined the club to get the cheaper prices, whilst balancing the needs of the business. It is important to remember that the committee's legal and governance obligation is to the club, not the members. The difference, the club is the business, the members belong to the club. If we made our decisions based on the table of knowledge or the 3 or 4 life members that you can't do that, we've been doing it this way for 30 years, or I'm not paying any more than $5 for my pint, then the club will disappear. So you need to make practical, mature, responsible decisions for the club. It's effective leadership. Every decision you make will be met with universal approval. You're going to have to make some tough calls. And yes, the club members are going to get up in arms. But for 30 seconds of disruption or frustration on their part, they'll be back tomorrow. Good governance is having the courage to make those difficult decisions, so long as they are in the best interests of the club. Committees must do everything you can to ensure the financial viability, sustainability and future of the club, to ensure it can meet the needs of tomorrow's members as well as today's. thank you for your attendance this afternoon. For those of you that have taken time out of your busy Thursdays, we'll now open the webinar up to questions. If you can put those through the chat and Lee will read them out. I'll do my best to answer them here, but if not, we will be able to go away, do some research for you and provide you the answers via the webpage. We've got some upcoming webinars on financial opportunities and promotions. Keith's session on that in September is a good one to see. You can guarantee there'll be a story or two from the man. This will give you an insight into what's working, what we're seeing working across the land, and what you might be able to take out of and put into your own clubs. What's working in other areas, we know, doesn't necessarily work in all areas. But out of those ideas and out of Keith's webinar, you should be able to get a couple of gems that you can implement at your own club. In addition, we've also got our own Clubs New Zealand Governance Fundamentals training that Keith and I are rolling out around the country. We advise very strongly to register with those when they're in your region.
No questions?
No questions out there?
No.
Well, with that, give it maybe another couple of minutes, Lee, do you think? Or there's been no questions?
Yeah, Annie's just asking if the slideshow can be shared, so we'll have that up in a few days.
Yeah, so that will be on the website in a few days, Annie. Thanks for your question. Nothing else, Lee?
No, we're all good.
Well, with that, thank you again for your attendance and for supporting this webinar. And we wish you good trading. And this is me signing out from Wellington. Haere rā.